The Premier League is less than 1 week away, and with that being said, in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my 2025-26 Premier League predictions. Will the relegation curse finally be broken? Will Man United and Tottenham have better seasons than last year? And will Liverpool go back to back? That is what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. Before I get into this video, I have to say that some of these predictions are extremely controversial. So remember to let me know in the comments down below what you think of my Premier League predictions. But without further ado, let's get right into this video. Starting off in 20th place, I have to go with Burnley. I feel like at the end of the championship last season, a lot of people thought that this season in the Premier League, Burnley could be one of the teams that would actually survive relegation. But so far in this transfer window, I just don't think things have been going their way. Last season in the championship, their defense was absolutely incredible, where they kept 30 clean sheets. But so far this summer, they lost James Trafford, they lost their main center back Egan Riley, and yes, they have made some new adjustments to their defensive line, where they signed Kyle Walker, they signed Hartman, they signed Twanzebe, but in my opinion, I just don't think defensively they're going to be that solid this season. Moving on to 19th place, I have put Brentford. After finishing in 10th place last season in the Premier League, I think that Brentford are going to be relegated. Having already lost some of their main players in their team, like Mbumu to Manchester United, they've already lost Flecken, they lost Norgard to Arsenal, and looks like they're going to lose Johan Wissa, who might get signed by Newcastle. I just think that their squad is getting completely picked apart, and I don't think they're going to be able to survive. One of the main reasons why they've been so good in recent years was because of Thomas Frank, but now he left to go to Tottenham and they hired Keith Andrews, who doesn't have enough experience for this Brentford job, and for that reason, I do think they will go down. And finally, in the last relegation spot, I've put Wolverhampton Wanderers. 2 out of the 3 newly promoted teams, in my opinion, will stay up. And I just don't think Wolves, similarly to Brentford, have done enough so far in this transfer window. Obviously, they have signed a few new players and they did keep their manager, which is very good for them. But some of the players that they're losing, players like Cunha, Sarabia, Ait Nouri, even Nelson Semedo, all of these players last season for Wolves were very, very important. They're very clutch players. They scored many important goals. They helped the team a lot. And losing all 4 of these players, I think, will be very, very difficult for them. I just don't think they're going to be able to survive. Moving into 17th place, just surviving relegation, I've put Sunderland. I think that between Sunderland and Wolves, it will be a very close battle to see who survives relegation. I think both of these teams are going to be within 2 or 3 points of each other, and I think it will be very, very close, but I think Sunderland will just have enough to survive. Bringing in players like Chemsden Talby and Adingra in the winger positions, in the midfield bringing in players like Xhaka, Sadiki, and also Habib Diarra, and defensively bringing in Reynaldo, I think will really, really help their team. But I still think they need to sign a couple more players, because even though they made some very good signings as I just listed, I still think defensively, Sunderland really need to improve. Even though, like I already mentioned, they brought in Reynaldo and they also recently just signed a new goalkeeper, I think they definitely need another center back and maybe possibly another full back for more depth in that defensive lineup. Moving on to 16th place, I've put Leeds United. I think Leeds definitely have the best team out of all the newly promoted teams. I think last season in the championship, they were very, very good. Obviously, they did finish in first place. And so far this summer, they have made a lot of very good signings that I think will really help them next season. But the main problem with Leeds, in my opinion, is their manager, Daniel Farke. I just don't think he's a good Premier League manager. We've seen him in the Premier League before, and he was absolutely atrocious. So this season, either he changes up his setup and he starts to perform good in the Premier League, or Leeds sack him a month or 2 into the start of the season, bring in a new manager, and that will help them perform better. But if you look at their squad and some of the new signings like Sean Longstaff or Anton Stack or Biol from Udinese, I think they have made some very, very good signings, and I think they should stay up. Moving on to 15th place, I've put AFC Bournemouth. Bournemouth were fantastic last season, finishing in 9th place. But in my opinion, I think that they overperformed. I think that Iraola is a very, very good manager, and he has been performing much better than the squad that he has. But after losing Dean Huijsen, after losing Kirkes, and possibly losing Zabarny as well to PSG, their defense has been completely ripped apart. And for that reason, I just don't think they're going to be able to be defensively as good as they were last season, and I think they will be conceding a lot more goals. But like I already said, Iraola is a very good manager who's been overperforming for multiple years now, so for that reason, I do think they will definitely stay up. Moving on to 14th place, I've put Everton. I've been hearing a lot of people saying that Everton are going to finish around mid-table in 11th or 10th, but in my opinion, that's kind of unrealistic. And yes, they have made a few good signings like Adam Asnu from Bayern Munich. They also signed Barry, they signed Alcaraz, but they're playing in a new stadium this season. They're not going to be playing in their old stadium. They have a new stadium. It's going to be very unfamiliar to them, and I think that will put them at a disadvantage. The start of the season is always very important, and I think it's going to take at least 5 home games for Everton to get used to their stadium. And with these first 5 home games, I think it will be very difficult for them to pick up wins and for them to get points. So if Everton do start off better than expected, then they can definitely finish higher. But as I'm expecting, I don't think they're going to start off that well, and that's why I've put them in 14th. Moving on to 13th place, I've put West Ham United. I feel like a lot of people are putting West Ham around 15th to 17th place, or possibly even getting relegated. Now, me personally, I don't think they're going to do that bad next season, but I don't think they're going to have a great season. Last season defensively, I think there was a lot of problems with West Ham, especially with Todibo and Max Kilman. I did not think they performed anywhere near their expectation. So for that reason, they do have to change a lot of things, and that's why I don't think they're going to finish any higher. Moving on to 12th place, I put Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace haven't really been that active on the transfer market. They have brought in Borna Sosa, who I think is a pretty good left back and can definitely play good with Crystal Palace. But other than that, they haven't really lost any of their star players yet. But we have seen the transfer rumors with Eze to Arsenal and Guehi to Liverpool. And if one or both of these players end up leaving Crystal Palace this summer, I think it will be very, very hard for them next season. Also, they do have European games next season, as they will most likely be playing in the Conference League, which again makes it much harder on the squad, and it requires a lot more depth, which Crystal Palace simply don't have. Moving on to 11th place, I've put Fulham. Fulham are very similar to Crystal Palace in my opinion, because they haven't really been that active on the transfer market. They haven't lost many players, but they also haven't really signed anyone. So their squad from last season is going to be pretty much the same as this season, which in some situations is actually very good because Marco Silva knows all the players. He doesn't have to integrate any new players or new tactics. And for that reason, I think they're going to finish in the same position as last season. Moving on to 10th place, I've put Nottingham Forest. I think that Nottingham Forest will drop from 7th place to 10th place. And the main reason for that is because they are going to be playing European football next season, which, similar to Crystal Palace, it requires much more squad depth to be able to perform in Europe and also in the Premier League. And Nottingham Forest, again similar to Palace, don't have the squad depth for that, in my opinion. Now, they have made a few good signings. They signed Ndoye from Bologna, who I think is a very good player, and they also signed a few players from Botafogo, like Igor Jesus. But they did lose Alenga, who was a very good attacker for them last season. Obviously, they have held on to Morgan Gibbs-White, even though it might be against his will, but I still don't think they're going to finish any higher than 10th place. Moving on to 9th place, I've put Brighton and Hove Albion. Obviously, Brighton have been very active during this transfer window, as they always are. They've lost a few of their main players for big money, and they signed a few youngsters, a few very underrated players who could improve their squad next season. But once again, it's going to take a lot of adjusting and a lot of changing up the tactics and compensating for these new players, which they usually do very well, but I just don't think they're going to be able to finish any higher. I think last season, with both Man United and Tottenham performing very, very poorly, it did allow Brighton to finish a little bit higher than expected, but this season I do think they will drop off a little bit. Moving on to 8th place, I've put Manchester United. Man United had a horrible season last year, finishing in 15th place. It was honestly the worst season I've ever seen from Man United. They were absolutely shit. But this summer, I think some of the signings that they've been able to bring in have been very, very good, and they will definitely help them next season. They brought in Mbeumo, they also brought in Mateus Cunha, and most recently, they have also agreed to sign Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig. So bringing in these 3 attackers, I think would really help Man United, because last season, we saw how difficult it was for them to score goals. We saw how uncohesive their attack was. So now bringing in these three very experienced players with Cunha and Mbumo having that Premier League experience and Benjamin Sesko being a very physical, young, very fast striker, I think their attack is completely sorted out. But I still think that Man United need to strengthen more of their team if they want to finish higher than 8th place. I think they need to sign another midfielder. I think they obviously need a new goalkeeper and maybe an extra center back as well, just for that extra depth. Moving on to 7th place, I've put Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham finished in 17th place last season. They were absolutely shit. They finished one position above the relegation zone, which is crazy for a team like Tottenham. But obviously under Ange Postecoglou, they were not playing properly in the Premier League. Yes, they did win the Europa League, but in the Premier League, they were not playing right. But under Thomas Frank, I think he will change a lot of things with Tottenham. He will change their tactics. They'll play more defensively. They won't play with a stupid high press that they were last season. And they do have a good squad. They have very good defenders. They have a good midfield. They have a good attack. Yes, they did lose Heung-min Son, but they signed Mohamed Kudus, who is a very good player. And for that reason, I think Tottenham could definitely finish in the top 8. Putting them in 7th place. Finishing in 6th place, I've put Aston Villa. Obviously, Villa are going to be playing Europa League football next season, and I think that they could definitely win that competition, especially having Unai Emery as their manager, who is a Europa League specialist. I think they will definitely perform. But even in the Premier League, I do think they will get the same finish that they did last season. Now, they haven't made many new signings. Also, they haven't let that many players go, but they're sticking with majority of the same squad, which Unai Emery knows very well by now. He knows how to coach them. He knows what tactics to use. And obviously, he's a very experienced manager. So that's why I think Aston Villa will definitely finish in the top 6. Moving on to the top 5, we got Newcastle United. Obviously, we've seen what happened with Newcastle this summer, where they missed out on Liam Delap. They missed out on Joao Pedro. They missed out on Benjamin Sesko. They missed out on Mateus Cunha. They missed out on James Trafford and net. They've missed out on a lot of very important players that they could have got for their squad. And it does look like Isak could possibly leave their squad, which would be very, very detrimental to their team. But whether they keep Isak or he leaves, I still think they will finish around 5th place. Their squad was very, very good last season. We all know that Newcastle defensively are a very solid team, and especially in the midfield with Bruno Guimaraes, with Joelinton, and with Sandro Tonali, they have a top 5, maybe even top 3 midfield lineups in the Premier League. And yes, even though they might lose Isak, they did sign Alenga, who was very good with Nottingham Forest last season, and I still think that they have a very good squad. Moving on to 4th place, I've put Manchester City. Yes, I think Man City will go down a position from where they finished last season. I just don't think they're the same squad that they were from 2 years ago. They have made a few very good signings like Ryan Cherky, Ryan Ait-Nouri. They obviously signed James Trafford, and they signed Tijani Reinders in the midfield position, as well as a few other signings. But for some reason, I just don't think that Man City are going to perform. I feel like Pep is kind of past his peak, and obviously he is still an incredible manager, and Man City could possibly win the league again this season. But I'm just getting a feeling that they're not going to perform to what is expected from them, and that's why I put them in 4th place. Moving on to 3rd place, I have put Arsenal. Yes, similar to Man City, I think that Arsenal are also going to drop positions this season. I think they will drop to 3rd place. And that's coming from a person who predicted Arsenal to win the Premier League for the last 2 seasons in a row, but they haven't been able to do it. They couldn't do it 2 years ago. They couldn't do it last season when Man City fell off because Liverpool took the reins and won it instead. And this season, I just don't think Arsenal will be able to perform that well. They haven't been performing that well so far in the club friendlies. And yes, obviously it's just friendlies, but something tells me that next season they're not going to perform. I think there's going to be a lot of problems with the squad, with Arteta. Obviously, Arteta has done a great job so far, but still has no silverware to show for it. And for that reason, if they don't win something this season, at least some silverware, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Mikel Arteta. Moving into 2nd place, I've put Chelsea. Like I just said about Arsenal, I don't think they're going to perform as good. But another reason why I think both Arsenal and Man City will drop positions is because I think Chelsea will be very, very good this season. We saw how good Chelsea were last season under Enzo Maresca, and we saw in the Club World Cup how he outclassed some of the best managers in the world. I think his tactics, and his vision for this Chelsea squad is very, very good. And I think he will definitely win a title with them in the coming years. And they've already made some very good signings this summer, bringing in players like Liam Delap, Joao Pedro, Jarell Hato, Jamie Gittins, and they're also looking to sign Xavi Simons. On top of all the players that they already have, on top of all of their incredible attackers, bringing in more attackers, more Premier League proven players, I think they're incredible. They have arguably the most depth in the Premier League, and obviously with their very young squad, they're very energetic, they're very fast, and with Enzo Maresca's tactics, I think they can definitely finish in second place. And finally, moving into first place, I've put Liverpool. It's no surprise that I put Liverpool in first place, as last season under Arne Slot, they were absolutely incredible. His tactics worked perfectly with the team, and they were very, very good. And this season, having brought in Milos Kerkez, they brought in Jeremy Frimpong, they brought in Florian Wirtz, they recently signed Hugo Ekitike, and now they're looking to sign Alexander Isak. Whether Isak joins the club or he doesn't, I still think Liverpool are going to win the Premier League. They look like an incredibly strong team, and because of the fact that they won so easily last season, and they brought in over £250 million worth of players, there's no way they're not going to win again. The only way that Liverpool don't win the Premier League, in my opinion, is if they suffer a few injuries in the back. If Virgil van Dijk gets injured, maybe one of their fullbacks, Milos Kerkez or Jeremy Frimpong, get injured. That's the only way I can't see Liverpool winning it. But other than that, I don't think anyone can stop them. They have a great squad, they have an even better manager, and they have loads and loads of money. So for that reason, I think Liverpool will be the champions of the Premier League in the 2025-26 season. And that's the end of this video. Those were my Premier League predictions for next season, where I think Liverpool will win once again. If you guys agree with my predictions, or obviously if you disagree with my predictions, which most of you probably will, remember to leave your predictions down below and I'll be sure to reply to every single comment. And obviously, if you did enjoy this video, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos.